Quest Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of Shadow of a Lie by Steve Higgs, narrated by Keith Wickham. Prologue. June 1993. He stood over the body, his pulse jacked about as high as it had ever been. The easy part was done. Now he had to get away with it. Get away with murder. They would call the attack frenzied, he knew that much, and they would be right. Bruce Denton's attempts to escape or deflect the blows stopped more than a minute before his killer ceased swinging the old cricket bat he held. Placing his hands on his knees as he sucked in gasping lungfuls of air, the killer was careful not to touch the walls with his body. There was blood on the protective outer layer he wore. Transferring it could leave behind a smear that might tell the police something, and the safe play was to leave nothing behind at all. Hence the protective outer layer. Complete with gloves, overshoes, mask, and a hood, his DNA would go with him. The body twitched, jolting Bruce's killer to once again raise the blunt weapon he employed for the grisly task. Holding it aloft, he prepared to deliver yet another blow, only to lower it again a few seconds later, content the victim's life had expired. Another convulsion racked Bruce's body, confirming his killer was witnessing nothing more than cadaveric spasms. Not that he'd seen them before, not in person, but he knew what they were. Looking around, the face behind his mask showed no trace of emotion. The murder had been necessary, at least that's what he told himself. It was his first, and would be his last. Until a month ago, he would never have thought he was capable of such an act. However, it turned out that all he needed was the right motivation. The bat was going with him. Leave no clues. As was the plastic overall he wore. They would vanish, never to be found, even if the police figured out the connection and came snooping. He very much doubted that would happen, but caution was his ally, and he embraced it with both arms. The body continued to twitch, the early signs of rigor mortis setting in. Soon Bruce Denton would be still, and evermore would remain that way. He had paid for his sins and would never sin again. Acknowledging that fact brought a hint of a smile to his killer's lips. Turning around, the killer walked away, taking care to avoid the spreading blood and the droplets on the tile floor in the kitchen where the attack began. At the back door, he took care to use 2 fingers free of his victim's blood to push the handle down and performed the same again on the outside to shut it soundlessly. Waking the neighbours with the attack had formed his biggest worry. Weeks of planning and observation to learn the routines, not only of his victim, but the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?